It was a lot of fear. It was a lot of fear. I didn't quit my job to the day we opened the doors at Attaboys.
Okay.
But for me, it was just something that I had to do. And I had to see if it could happen. And sometimes things don't work out.
This is the Main Street Reimagined Podcast, a show for people ready to turn visions into realities and ideas into businesses. Hey, I'm Luke Henry, and each week I lead conversations with Main Street dreamers who took the leap to launch a business, renovate a building, or start a movement. Their ideas, their mindsets, and their inspirations, as well as some of the highs and lows along the way. This is a place for dreamers, creators, developers, and entrepreneurs to learn, share, and be inspired to change your community through small business. Enjoy the show. Hey friends, welcome. This is the Main Street Reimagined Podcast, and I am here today with Chris Rennick, Chef Chris.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. We're excited to have you on the podcast here. So I got to start out talking about Chris. So I first met Chef Chris at the Forge Business Plan Competition.
Yeah.
And how many years ago was that, Chris?
I think that was about 7 to 8 years ago, if I believe, something like that.
And I'm trying to remember, was I one of the judges at that event?
I believe so.
All
yeah.
right, I think so. I judged a couple. I couldn't remember if I know I was there.
Yeah, you were judging.
But I remember, I remember, and I was like, this is exciting. You know, you guys pitched the idea of Attaboys Comfort Cuisine at that time. And at that time, you didn't have a restaurant. It was just a dream at that point. So we're going to hear the whole story here. But I remember that very vividly. And then that led to really one of the first restaurants as part of the Downtown Renaissance.
Yeah.
And so you were a big piece of this. And so if somebody's listening, you haven't been to Attaboys Comfort Cuisine.
Yeah.
I gotta tell them what's up. Okay, so I'm a frequent flyer, of course, and I have two go-to dishes, and the chicken and waffles.
Yeah, that's my baby.
Chicken and waffles, man, is if you've never had it, and if you've never had it at Attaboys, it is really good. The breading on the chicken and all of it is just so good.
Thank you.
And then the Southern Cobb salad.
Cobb salad, yeah.
That is my go-to. And both of those I'm not usually that guy that like asks for something special. I usually get it like it is. But I come so often that I kind of have like Lukified a couple of these dishes. And so you might recognize them when they come in the kitchen because it's chicken and waffles with chicken tenders.
Yeah.
I don't like bones. I know some people do, but I love your chicken tenders. And then the Cobb salad, Lukified, is the chicken tossed in buffalo sauce, man. With the blue cheese crumbles with the ranch. I mean, it is.
Appreciate you.
It's bussin'. So
thank you.
Yeah. So I'm excited that you're here to talk. So I've introed a little bit about your business, but again, if somebody hasn't been to Attaboys, just tell them a little bit about what they would expect when they come into your restaurant.
Yeah, so Attaboys is a Southern comfort style restaurant. We do a bunch of Southern stuff. A bunch of the stuff that I like is shrimp and grits, chicken and waffles, of course, your favorite, and then gumbos. Just a bunch of stuff that if you go down South New Orleans or South, you'll see those type of dishes, and we just bring them here to Marion.
Yeah, awesome. So kind of a throwback decor a little bit. You got some history pieces there on display in terms of like old articles about Marion, stuff like that.
Most definitely. So one of the things we wanted to do was just bring in a bunch of the Marion history. What I find is like yesterday I had a customer, he came in and he was eating lunch and there was an old picture. It was like a picture from the 70s, but he was like, hey, that's my grandma. So there's it was crazy. He took a picture and we're going to post it online, but there's just a bunch of history. I feel like Marion's a small town. And a lot of the people from back in the day, their family, we're still here. So it's kind of how we trying to do it.
Yeah. And it's a great space, too.
Yes, it is.
You know, the exposed brick, high ceilings, hardwood floors.
Yes. All original.
Yeah. So, you know, as I well know, that historic element sometimes is, it's tough to, keep everything running like it's supposed to, and a little harder to care for sometimes than just drywall and linoleum or whatever, that you might see in a chain restaurant. But it's worth it, to have that authenticity, and people just, they know that they're really getting an authentic slice of historic Marion.
Most definitely.
When they come in. So some people are listening. They've been in, they've seen it, they've experienced it. But what they may not know is Chef Chris.
Yes.
So your story and where you came from and how you started as little Chris, and now you're very big Chris. Big so Chris, if you never see Chris, he's a big guy. What are you, 6'7"? 6'7". I mean, there's not a lot of people I have to look up to, but I look up to Chris. And again, that was like, wow, it was so memorable. I remember when he came up to the forge and you stand up at the podium and you're just like,
big old boy.
This foreboding guy, but so gentle and so passionate about food. So
I appreciate that.
Where'd that come from, man?
So I'm from Philadelphia originally, born and raised. Got a lot of my food passion from my grandmother, just sitting in the kitchen and Sundays and Saturdays and Friday nights, fish fry Friday. I always remember just those things. My grandma, I try to keep my restaurant as my grandmom's home. I was raised by her. I lived with her for a while. I just remember her entertaining the guests in the living room, and we try to run our front of the house that way. And in the back of the house was the same way. It was always just a place where love and passion was going into food. And I just try to run my restaurant the same way. But outside of that, I went to college in Pittsburgh. I went to Pennsylvania Culinary Institute. Did that. So I kind of got the skill from. Always had the passion, but the schooling gave me the skill. After that, I went back to Philly. I did my externship at the Brigada, Atlantic City. Did that for a while. And I just felt like, hey, what should I do? The externship was over. So I came back to Marion. I came to Marion.
Yeah.
Started working at the prison, and I still was doing food there. I just felt like, hey, it's more. I was making the company that I was working for. I felt like a crap ton of money, and I just felt like I could do it on my own. So I just started a small catering company, and we began catering and getting the word out and getting people to taste my food, my product. And after a while, I got the opportunity to open up a restaurant, and here we are.
Yeah. So it was the job that brought you to Marion?
So, no, not the job. I actually met my kid's mother in college. She's from Marion, Ohio.
Okay.
So we both kind of moved to Philly. And then after that, her grandmother got sick, and she wanted to come back to Marion. So I'm like, hey, I'll move with you.
Okay.
So we came back. We came here, and it was a little rough at first. It was hard to find a good job. I felt like I was a little bit overqualified for a lot of the stuff that I was applying for, and just wasn't getting the calls back. I'm like, man, I got the skill, but no one's giving me the call. I got the opportunity to work at Burger King, and I kind of felt like this was God just shaping me up for my purpose. So I had to kind of start from the bottom. So I did the whole Burger King thing, and then after that, I worked at Chipotle. And then after that, I got the opportunity to work and manage the prison. And then after the prison, I started a restaurant.
Yeah. So what did those early catering gigs, that was kind of your foray into the restaurant.
Yeah.
How did you get those? What did those look like? How were you kind of pulling those together in the early days?
Yeah, so it was scrambling a lot. I mean, and it was just really friends who seen the passion in me and was like, hey, let me give this guy a chance. So Nathan's Barbershop, shout out to Nate, that's my guy. He was one of the guys who said, hey, I remember sitting in his barber chair and just talking about my passion and the dream and things I wanted to do. He's like, man, just get out and do it. And just kept pushing me week after week after week. And I'm just like, oh, I'm scared. So one day he's like, oh, you starting this catering company? Well, my son's graduation's coming up. I want you to cater it.
Nice.
So I'm like, yeah, all right, let's do it. I got my first big catering job, and it went pretty fast because I went and catered for that, and I felt like I did a great job. And there was people there who liked my food, and I gave some business cards out. I had the opportunity to, after that, have a meeting with Laura Fisher, and I took her some food. It was just a meeting, and I started really thinking about, hey, is this what I want to do? So everything I did, I kind of made sure that I was just showing who I really was and trying to put my best foot forward. So just for a meeting, it was like, hey, just for a meeting. I'm like, well, you think she'll like some of my food? You think I should cook up some food? So I cooked up a couple items that's still on our menu today. Chicken and waffle sandwich. I took that up to her. With some fried chicken. I think it was some mac and cheese. And I was doing chocolate-covered strawberries around this time. I think a lot of people know around Valentine's Day. So it was just something else. So I dipped a couple strawberries up and dazzled them up. And it was just a meeting. So I went up there, and I didn't want to go up there empty-handed, and I wanted to leave a great first impression. So I took her some food, and she was wowed by that. And she said, hey, give me a business plan. The food is great. A lot of people have come and given me food, but no one's bought a business plan. So I started working on a plan.
Yeah. So is that where the Forge came in?
So that's where the Forge came in. So I'm like, let me work on this plan. I started doing some research. She said the restaurant location that I haven't planned for you is downtown. So there really wasn't a lot of restaurants downtown to base my plan off. So I just start looking, and I start seeing how many people go into restaurants at this hour and how many tables they turn and what's their average food cost. So trying to see if this is something that's could be profitable and is it something that I could actually do. So I got the plan together, and when I actually did the plan, it was scary because the amount of money and just the stuff that was in the plan was just like, this is crazy. Could this really happen? I gave it to her, and she was super excited about the plan, and she thought it could happen. So she said, hey, I want you to go in the Forge. This is a great plan. And sign me up for the Forge.
Yeah. So if people haven't heard of the Forge before, the Forge was a project that came out of our local Leadership Marion class, which is ran through the Marion Area Chamber of Commerce. And really, they saw that there was a gap in entrepreneurship in Marion, and that was a project that they believed could bring new vitality, new business to Marion. And it's been going on ever since that, like you said, 7 or 8 years ago. It's ran every year. I've judged some of them, and there's been a number of different businesses that are still around today.
Amazing program.
Yeah, that have come out of that, just equipping people with the little bit of knowledge, the little bit of kind of nudge that they might need, or some of the technical expertise on how to get a loan or write a business plan and those sorts of elements. And it's been really beneficial. So now it's kind of been taken over by Marion Technical College and wrapped into some of their education. And they've had some of their staff that have led that program here in years recently. So yeah, a great asset for our community, and definitely love how it plugged into your story there. I think what we didn't necessarily say was, I hear you saying, your grandmother inspired a lot of your culinary passion and all of that, but why Southern Comfort Food? When you kind of did this plan and everything, why is it?
So I'm kind of a supply and demand guy. I looked at Marion. I know my tastes. I know things that I like. There's always like, hey, I want this and I want this, but it's just not out there. So I kind of seen a niche, and I'm like, hey, let's just try this. So I went to culinary school, and I'm trained classically, so I pretty know a lot of cuisines. But for me, it was just the soul food, the Southern. That's just what I feel like Marion was missing. Marion to me is a meat and potato town. If you got some great meat, some great potatoes, some good fried chicken, for me, that's what was missing.
Yeah. I mean, talking like technically, I mean, what is it that is different? You don't give us all your trade secrets, but I mean, what is it that's different about the way that you do your food?
Yeah, so me, I feel like, not to be too cocky, I always tell my team we're the best. I feel like everything we do is the best. My taste is different. My style is a lot different. I feel like I bring a Philadelphia style too with what I do. There's a lot of stuff where I do Philly cheesesteaks and add a lot of onions and peppers and just a lot of things that you'll see up in Philly comes with my style.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, because there's other places that serve fried chicken.
Exactly.
Obviously, but you've put your spin on it. And it is that, again, the chicken, I think, has always been kind of the mainstay. Yeah, that's been my perception anyway. Yeah. And it's different in the breading, in the spice. I mean, again, you don't have to give away all your secrets, but that's where it's at, right?
In the spice. It's definitely in the spice. It's definitely in the breading. And it's definitely how you fry it too. It's just how you put the love into it. Because you can bread it, you can season it the same way, but you can also overcook it. You can also burn it. You can also undercook it. So it's really just the passion that goes into the foods.
Yeah.
But the spice as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So, we're really getting to this point of the story where I want to bring in our segment that I call The Leap. Okay. So this is kind of the main segment of our show here, where we want to hear from entrepreneurs to tell us, when was the moment, after all the dreaming, the research, the thinking, the fearing, that you decided to actually jump off and take the leap? Kind of, how did you overcome that fear? What did that moment look like for you?
So I feel like I'm a guy who just, and this could be a good thing and a bad thing, but I'm never satisfied. I just feel like there's always more, and I just feel like I can always do more, and I just always feel like there's more of a purpose for my life. So I always pray and ask for direction and things of that nature. So again, I was working at the prison, and again, all the jobs I felt like were leading me up to the point where I am now. So it was just working at the prison, and it was a sweet gig. I had Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. I was off every weekend, $60,000 a year. It was starting. It was a pretty sweet gig. But for me, I just felt like there was always more. I had a bigger purpose, and I just didn't want to stay bogged down there. So it was a lot of fear. It was a lot of fear. I didn't quit my job till the day we opened the doors at Attaboys.
Okay.
But for me, it was just something that I had to do, and I had to see if it could happen. And sometimes things don't work out. I've opened up another business, and I've decided to actually kind of let that one go and combine the two. But sometimes you got to try things, and things may not work out. They might work and they may not. But you got to try. Yeah. You just got to try. Without trying, you'll never know. And that part I think will eat you up more than failing.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely subscribe to that way of thinking as well. Yes. But I mean, it sounds like you're saying that really it came to that point where you had to be okay with the possibility of failing.
Most definitely.
You had to come to grips with that before you could step forward and take that leap off the diving board.
Most definitely. But it also came with a good support system. So I talked this over with my family. Hey, this is the direction I'm going. I just want to make sure I got you guys' support, make sure you got my back. And everyone was extremely, hey, we got your back, man. We want to see you successful. We want to see you succeed. Yeah. And without family and people having my back, I don't think I would have been. But I kind of got all those things in line before I took the jump.
Yeah. So that was another piece, making sure that you had that support.
Most definitely.
Because it's a family affair.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, you got spouse, significant other, you got kids parents, other extended family, that it takes a toll on all those, right?
Most definitely. And that's part of the reason, just with the other business, why I kind of scaled back a little bit, just because business is fine, and once you get into it, but you still want to make time for the family. Yeah. You want to make time for the people who support you and have your back. So you want to also not neglect that either.
Yeah. So you've mentioned that a couple of times, the other business that you started that you've recently decided to kind of roll into Attaboys. Yeah. Tell us a little more about kind of that journey and what you learned along the way.
Yeah, so I opened a business, Harding Harbor Seafood, another business where I felt like supply and demand. Why not? We have one seafood restaurant in Marion, Red Lobster, which I feel like is a bunch of bad cooking. Bag, not bad bags. It comes out of a bag. Right. But they're not cooking too often. So it's like, hey, let's try it. And I feel like it was successful. There's a lot of things that we could have done better, but it was a success. But for me, it came a time where I had to decide, hey, do I want to staff 2 places with just people, or do I want to staff 1 place with great people and put out a great product? Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was kind of cut myself thin, running myself dry, with just trying to staff two places. And that's just me. It might be different for other people, and you may have people to help you run it. But for me, it was just, it was too much.
Yeah.
It was too much.
Yeah. Other lessons that you feel like you learned from that experience specifically?
Yeah, so just from that, just again, don't be afraid to try. Don't. I feel like some people don't think quitting is quitting. Don't think giving up is giving up. I mean, for me, I'm merging. So I have two spaces. God was good there. And I'm able to merge the two places and kind of still keep the seafood concept around. But again, failure is not failure. It's always a lesson. Everything is a lesson.
Yeah. Well, we've talked kind of off to the side about some of those lessons before. And I mean, I see what you're doing to work to integrate that as we go forward. And we'll talk about that here briefly, or in a little bit. But what have been other unexpected challenges, perhaps, in running this business?
Yeah, so one thing I hadn't touched on, so I kind of met Lois in that story and was able to start a restaurant. But towards the beginning of that, I was able to get a partner and bring a partner in. And partnership is a little bit different. I feel like partnerships are like marriages. They're really, really tough. And if you don't do it the right way, it could just be stressful and it can cause a lot of stress. So for me, just the whole partnership thing, it just didn't work out. It's not a bad idea. Not saying that it doesn't work out for some people, but they're literally like your wife or your husband. And if you guys don't know each other for a long time, and here's again, like you always want to think about partnerships, I say, even with you going in with a friend, because you don't want to lose your friend over something like business. So that's just another thing that I think that that you got to think about.
Real life here.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I mean, great points. Partnerships are tough. And I mean, I think what you said was spot on. It's like a marriage. You've got to go into it with that expectation, and ending those partnerships can be challenging. So I appreciate that word.
Yeah, for sure.
And, we've talked a little bit. I mean, I had a foray into running a couple of restaurants, and I had one person say it to me like this, see if you agree with this. So running a restaurant is like having a retail business, a manufacturing business, and a hospitality business all wrapped into one.
Most definitely.
Because you got to make sure the place looks good.
Most definitely.
You got to make sure everything gets put together with the exact specifications every time, just like you're building a product. And you've got to do it in a way that makes people feel good. They feel seen. You're being attentive to their needs. And working with the public can be very challenging.
Most definitely. I feel like restaurant is one of the hardest businesses to get in. It's tough. It's tough. But one thing I feel like worked for me is customer service. I try to focus on my customers. I know competition is around and they're all around, but part of my vision for Marion was to make this a foodie destination. I'm a chef at heart, and I always wanted to make Marion a place where people come for great cuisine. If it's not my place or just another place, I want to see our city packed. So I just focus on my customers and the people who come through the door, and that seems to work for me.
Yeah. There's a lot of good food that goes out the kitchen there. So,
Appreciate it.
What has been an unexpected joy or, area of fulfillment from running a business? Let's look at the other side of the coin.
So I've had some crappy employees. I don't want to say that, but I've had some great ones come through as well. And to see just some of the employees that worked for me where they are now, that's a crazy joy for me. I love that. I love just to see where they are and what they're doing in their life. I've been blessed with some great employees.
Yeah. And you're saying that people that don't work for you anymore, they've they've stepping stoned into something else.
Yeah. So I gotta be realistic. Restaurant is, for the most part, a stepping stone business. You're going to have some people who stay with you for the long haul, and I appreciate them, and you take good care of them. But you got some people who are just stepping stones. I have a bunch of young kids who is just a summer job. So you want to pour as much as you can into those people and just see where they go. But we got people who've city council now, who worked at Attaboys. We got people who's in Columbus, who's up under the governor now. We've seen some great employees come through, and that's just a joy for me.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I've experienced some of that joy myself. I mean, it's tough. The people part of running a business is no joke. You know, if there's somebody out there listening and they're concerned about that. It certainly is a factor, but
definitely.
would you say that figuring it out and working through it, making mistakes and trying to fail forward is still worth it?
Most definitely. I feel like every day is a challenge. So it's just not like one challenge. Every day we wake up, there's a challenge. It's kind of like Restaurant Impossible, but I love it that way. If I'm not putting out a fire, I'm like, oh, it's boring. Let's
yeah.
Where's it at? Where's that? What are we doing? Is there a 20 top walking in? Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
I just love that.
What do you think the future looks like for Attaboys? I mean, spend a minute here sharing the vision. I mean, you mentioned the closing of Harding Harbor, wanting to merge some of those concepts.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So I feel like right now we're a comfort food restaurant, and we're going to bring some seafood stuff over. I feel like Attaboys, we're just going to continue to grow. I tried the two restaurant thing, and right now we're just going to focus on the one and just build and build and build and build that Attaboys name, and just trying to keep that place packed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just where we're at right now. Just putting out a great product, continue to do that, and just keep loving our community.
Yeah. So that's a great parlay into, I'd like to chat a little bit, kind of zooming out. I mean, you've been in Marion now for quite a few years.
Oh, yeah.
You've been a business owner, multiple business owner in Marion for quite a few years. You've been right on a front row seat for the renaissance of downtown Marion specifically for the last 6 years.
Loving it.
What are you most excited about for Marion?
I'm just excited to see us continue to grow. So when I first started, there was a bunch of empty spaces, and just to see where we are now is crazy. I mean, if you didn't see it from the beginning, I mean, people talk so bad about us. We did before we opened up Attaboys, there was a news. We were on Channel 6 News, and it was just so funny. We look back at it now, and they say how people came looking to Marion for bodies and stuff like that.
Right.
But that's like the total opposite of where we are now. And I don't even believe we were there then, but we're like total opposite of that now. It's just thriving. Just to see people walking downtown, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm just excited to see where we're going in the future.
Yeah, I love that. I'd love to share some of the statistics that we put together along with Downtown Marion Inc., the local, our Main Street organization here locally, that in the last 6 years, so we started our projects in 2018, and in that time, there's been over 50 businesses that have either started or relocated to downtown Marion. I mean, again, you've had a front row seat for that.
Yes.
I mean, first of all, when you went into the building where you are, were you the only ground floor business there? Or there was like a pawn shop? Or
no, it was completely empty.
Yeah.
When we went in, there was nothing there. There were birds flying around in the space when I first walked into it. It was set empty, I think, for 10 years or longer.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a bunch of empty spaces.
Yeah,
It's not that way now. Right next to us, we have Sweetie May, and then right after that, I think it's Wolf Lodge.
Fox Love Hollow. Yep.
Yes, Love Hollow.
Home decor. Yeah,
Yes,
recently
home decor.
opened there.
Yes.
Two great neighbors to have. Those ladies are doing a great job with those businesses, and really a nice compliment. Food compliments.
Most
Well,
definitely.
of course, right across the street, the Marion Palace Theater.
Yes.
Such a big mainstay to your business, right?
Most definitely. When that Palace is having shows, we're pretty much packed.
Yeah.
Love the Palace.
It's been a great partnership. And I mean, really, what we love seeing, and these just continue to grow, but it was one of our focus when we started redeveloping was to create those experiences where it's multiple things, so used to be somebody might come down to the Palace to a show. I mean, they've been doing a great job for now 92 years or whatever. Yeah. But, they maybe didn't have a dining option downtown. So maybe they were either eating at home or eating, Red Lobster or something and then coming to a show. Now they can park, they can, they can go get a drink somewhere. They can, have dinner. They can go to the show. They could even go somewhere after the show.
Most definitely.
To meet up with friends or, kind of extend their evening. And those are just so awesome to see.
There's so much more. There's game rooms now. There's bouncy houses. There's just so much stuff to get out and do downtown.
Yeah.
It's actually becoming a downtown. And it's been a downtown, but it's more of a big city downtown, small city downtown. But it's a lot of stuff to get out and do.
Yeah. How would you say your kind of breakdown is of people that are coming to Attaboys that are local versus from out of town?
So I say it's literally 50-50. I mean, we have a bunch of people from in town, but we also have a bunch of people who are coming from out of town. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that's popping up. I'll say the birds, the cardinals that's all around town. There's so many people who have just come to town just to look at those stuff. We have so many people. We're really making Marion a destination. So there's people coming from Toledo, Columbus. They're coming to Marion. Marion's the place to be. I really believe it. It's picking up, and it's picking up crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, we love seeing that. And I do think that, with event venues and tourism opportunities, and of course the Palace is a huge draw from all over the place. But even just sometimes I feel like one of our biggest jobs is just telling Marion people about Marion, because some of them are stuck a little bit in the old perceptions. If they don't have reason to, maybe they work out of town, they live in the county, they drive to Columbus every day. They don't, if they're not in the habit of coming downtown, they don't see that there's 50 some new businesses.
Yes.
And so, one of our biggest jobs, I think, is getting that word out and getting them to come down and to explore a little bit and see some of these new shops, entertainment options, restaurants, drinkeries. I mean, just so many things to do.
For sure.
And I mean, how do you see Attaboys continuing to fit in to that greater vision for Marion that we all have?
Yeah, so I feel like Attaboys has become a staple. I feel like the cuisine and the style of food that we do just fits into the core of Marion. So I feel like Attaboys will continue to grow with everything that's growing and continue to be a success. I see, like the other day, I had a tin top, and these ladies, it's kind of weird. These ladies said, they were from Toledo. They came to Attaboys because they see me dancing on TikTok. It was crazy. So I got to start dancing a lot more. Start getting people coming from all over.
I don't know about that. I guess whatever works, though. They said no press is bad press.
Right.
So I guess you're pulling it off. That's great. And I mean, and honestly, I mean, I've looked at your Google reviews. I mean, like a 4.5 rating. Yeah, I mean, hundreds of Google reviews, and a lot of those, I mean, just scrolling down through them, are people coming from out of town. They were here for a baseball tournament or a Palace show or just to see you dance or whatever.
I feel like our kind of cuisine is the kind of cuisine that you want to Google and you want something different, and that's just Attaboys. It's different. We do a daily special every day. So that gives me kind of flexibility to change up what I want to serve every day. It's something that I just create. So we keep it fresh. We change up every day, and it's always comfort food. You can't go wrong with comfort food.
Yeah. It's awesome. So, as we kind of wrap up here, I'd like to hear a little bit. I think that, business owners, entrepreneurs, always learning from past successes, probably more likely from past failures. Yeah. Hopefully also from other people or resources, online podcasts, whatever. What would you say has been the most impactful for you of, way that you're learning or being inspired?
Yeah, so at the beginning, it's kind of still, there's a guy on YouTube, his name's Eric Thomas.
Okay.
And he's straight to the point, man. He beats you up and he tells you, hey, get your butt up off that couch and you get out there and get it. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's just go, go, go. I feel like a lot of people, they got good dreams and they got good ideas, but they just don't put it to work. Got to get out there and get it. You got to get out there and do it. Like, it's kind of sound crazy, but today was my first day off since January 30th.
Wow.
But you got to do it. It's part of the dream. It's part of the grind. And for me, it's not work. I say if you cut me open, I'm going to bleed out sauce and juice and some type of gravy or something. But that's my passion, and this is what I'm here to do. And when you find your passion, it's not work. You're just doing what you love to do.
Yeah. Do you ever think back to that prison job, where 5 to 1 Monday through Friday?
It's freaking crazy. So a lot of the officers, they still come in to the restaurant all the time. And, hey, Rennick, you want to come back? No, I don't want to do that. But no, I think about the job, but I would never go back.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I love stepping out on my own. I love just chasing the dream. I love the grind every day. I love the unknown every day. it's something I live for.
Yeah. I love it. So if people want to find you, address is
289 West Center Street, Marion, Ohio. We're right across the street from the Palace Theater. You can't miss us.
Yeah. So Attaboys Comfort Cuisine. So we talked some about the menu, catering.
Yeah. So
also, still doing that.
We do catering.
Back to your roots.
Yep. We do weddings, birthday parties, whatever you need. We're here. We do custom menus. We have menus. Whatever you need, we're here to take care of you guys.
Private parties.
We do private parties, graduations, you name it, we're there. We'll take care of you guys. We also can have guys inside the restaurant too. So if you guys need a space to have your event, we can do that inside the restaurant too.
Yeah, and it's a big space. Yes. How many seats do you have there?
I think we can sit 90, I believe.
Yeah. Yes. It's a big space. So yeah, great for larger events, and definitely on show nights. Yes. Recommend people getting there a little bit early.
Please get
That's
there.
A lot of people to serve all at once that are all trying to go the same place at the same time.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
So be forgiving and come early is the words of advice there, right?
Yes, please do.
So man, in just summarizing, looking back on some of the notes I was taking as you were talking, I mean, it's just so great to hear the story of you being inspired, as a child by your grandmother, and then being able to carry that through, getting formally trained. The road that led you to Marion, was a kind of a long and winding road.
Yes.
But, here you are, looked at what we needed here, what you felt was needed here, and you created it. And yes. I just love that, hearing that story, the opportunity you have to just live your passion, to be able to serve people, to make food for them, and recognize that they're coming in, they're making memories as part of their dining with you, and I appreciate you sharing some of your darker spots. Having to navigate some things that didn't go the way that you planned for them to go. But
yes.
Again, man, that's entrepreneurship, isn't it?
That's what it is. Yeah. And don't be scared. There's so many people with good knowledge. Don't be scared to sit down and ask for some advice. I feel like that's a lot of things too. People are scared to ask for advice. There's so many people that are here to help you and give you the advice. There's so many people that walk the walk before you did too.
Right.
You're not the first one that's walking this walk. People have done it before you. Don't be scared to ask for help.
Yeah, that is really, really great advice. And, there's so many resources out there. Yes. In terms of, you shared, sometimes you need that kind of tough love inspiration from somebody. You got to, get on YouTube and hear it. But I mean, there's so many, technical things you can learn, and podcasts, and, YouTube, and even TikTok, as you mentioned, obviously there's information to be gleaned there too. So I'm excited for what the future is for Attaboys. Really appreciate you sharing here, and appreciate everyone listening and tuning in here to the Main Street Reimagined podcast. If this show has resonated with you, we sure would love and appreciate your 5-star review, and subscribing to our channel, maybe sharing with somebody else who maybe needs a little bit of help. They've got a great idea. They're looking to take a leap. Maybe they are looking at Downtown Marion. Maybe you're nowhere close to here, and you just need a little bit of inspiration and a little bump. We hope that we can be that for you. Tune in each week for these kinds of stories from local entrepreneurs, and as we go on, we're gonna get beyond Marion here. But I love starting with some of these early episodes in our own backyard here, people that I've gotten to witness the journey and even hear more about what was happening behind the curtain, that you got to, especially in the restaurant business, you got to make it look good out front, but sometimes in the back, there's a lot of challenges that are being overcome. So thanks for doing it. Thanks for working in, day out, and making Marion a better place, serving people good food, and we look forward to much success here.
Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks again, Chris. Thanks for listening to the Main Street Reimagined podcast. To learn more about Main Street Reimagined, Henry Development Group, or our work in downtown Marion, Ohio, please visit mainstreetreimagined.com. If you want to connect, or if you know someone who we need to interview, shoot us an email at info@mainstreetreimagined.com. Until next time, keep dreaming and don't be afraid to take the leap.